Welcome to the show. We have a new show, and today we are going to talk about union news, all about your twin flame union. Yeah, that's what Creative Universe Checkpoint Earth presents today. And we're going to talk about you. So that means you are on your way towards your twin flame. That's what you feel in your heart. Maybe you've met them already, maybe not yet, doesn't matter. This is the desire that you have. And we're going to talk all about that, about the consciousness shift that you will need to go through, the practical things that might happen for you, that happen for very many people. Because, here's the thing. Let me just give it to you straight, right at the start. Every twin flame union is unique. You have your unique problems, issues, your unique personality in your union, divided between the divine masculine and divine feminine expression of that uniqueness. You have your unique time to do the journey in, your unique blocks, your unique way of resolving it. And at the very same time, there are certain order principles below your personal situation that are the same for everyone. There are patterns that form the most well-known blocks to union, to being with your true twin flame in a sustainable way. And they can all be resolved in only one way. You see, so that we go from like, you're so unique, and that's really true, to, yeah, there are patterns below what you're going through, and they're sometimes very recognizable. And then we go to, there is a solution to make it work, and that's only one thing ever. Who knew? Who knew? So, and these things are like true at the same time. They are. And what, let me give it to you straight. What is that thing that is the solution for everyone the same, for every journey, for every entirely unique journey? That is, you need to shift your consciousness. And you do that with the one and only tool that has like help tools around it that help the central tool, the key tool. And that's it. Yeah, so okay. Okay. So that's how it works. That's how I can guide you to your twin flame truly in a sustainable way so that they don't run away anymore and you also don't run away anymore. And you start that loving relationship that you always desired. That is like written in your heart as the blueprint of what you need to feel divinely loved, because that will take place with your twin flame. There is no doubt about that. But you need to travel from your unique qualities and difficulties towards the patterns, towards the one solution with the one tool. Do it, keep on doing it, commit to it, and then it will work. So, more about this in today's episode. The real twin flame work happens on the inside, and that it will guaranteed manifest outside. In this series of lives, I share about what that means for my union consciousness process to inspire you to find yours. It serves as the source of your regular twin flame news, and today on the show we have all about your twin flame union. And let me for a moment explain why we have the possibility to become a paid Patreon member on this and all live shows. You can listen to it and join, that is fine. But if you want the content of these shows to spiritually work healing on your union, you invest in the messages. That's how you support your union healing. Money unlocks it. And if you'd like to invest some in your union directly, there is always the strategy session for you to discuss that together. And you'll find the link to that. And I completely refurbished that, the text and the invitation in that link. So if you've once saw it, maybe you just want to see it again because it looks very differently and it looks, it came out beautifully. So there you go. You can find that in the link below in the content box or in the pinned comment. And all about your twin flame union, we are going to use some union consciousness tools for that. And the first is the consciousness wisdom of the day. So let's have a look about what that is and then talk about how it applies. Your twin flame union situation and qualities are entirely unique. Although there are clear patterns in what unions go through to come together at the very same time. Underneath this all, there is only the harmonious union frequency trying to take you in, and it already worked for you both, or not yet. So that's all that it is. That's the whole union consciousness wisdom. That's what it is. That's all that it is. There it is. It's not more complicated nor more simple than this. Your twin flame union situation and qualities are entirely unique, although there are clear patterns in what unions go through to come together at the very same time. And underneath this all, there is only the harmonious union frequency trying to take you in. And it already worked for you both or not yet. Yeah, it's so interesting. So, it already worked for you, and then you know that you're in harmonious union, and I will have told you so, right? Because I can see that with the heart and inner space, and that's part of my work. Or it did not work for you yet, and that's not an issue. That's okay too. Because when it hasn't worked for you yet, even though the harmonious union frequency is already present in the universe and trying to take you in all the time, trying to call you in, trying to like persuade you to come closer, to come closer. It's like whispering in your ear all the time. Come closer, you divine lover that you are of your twin flame. Come closer, come closer. And then yeah, maybe you eventually you go and then it will work out for you. And when it's not working out for you yet, you're just in that period in which it is whispering to you to come closer and you're still resisting, but you eventually could say yes to it, right? And then you've just sort of fallen into the trap of harmonious union, a consciousness state. And that's what you need. All twin flames need that same thing. It's a consciousness state. We know when you're in it immediately, or we know that you're not yet there, and you will get it, receive it, once you've done the work, once you are in my vicinity, once you say yes to coaching behind the YouTube screen, once you take on the investments that are appropriate for it, and it starts to work out for you, and you start to listen to that inner voice that calls you to come closer. So, and I just said, like a little bit with a joke, with a wink, like the harmonious union frequency, that's the trap. And I say that little bit as a light joke, but it's true. It's true. It is like the trap in the sense that, I have made videos about that the ego can't come in union. That's still very true. It's very clear and very true all the time. And when you are in the ego, it feels like a trap. It can potentially feel like as if the universe is playing a trick on you. That can be a temporary interpretation from the ego. That is also a known phenomenon. You don't need to listen to that, and you just take that as a joke. And then you do it anyway. And then these meanings, they turn around, and it comes out that it was never any form of trap at all. It was always the most loving thing that God was holding out for you until you accepted it, until you understood that it was the ego that made the interpretation that it was a trap, that was a negative thing, but it was not so. And yeah, so that's also, see, that is one of the patterns that one moves through. That's twin flames move through on the journey to change the ego to the soul, to interpret harmonious union as a trap, and then change the interpretation once you've truly arrived. It's very interesting to see, to experience, and that this happens all the time. So that's also an example of this idea that there are patterns that, well, you might be trapped inside, to put it like that, and then you become released from those patterns, which is a fun way of saying it, um, because that's why you experience harmonious twin flame union possibly as a trap, when you are not in it yet, because that is a projection of the ego that is trapped themselves, seemingly. And yeah, so you interpret everything as a trap, but it's not. Anyway, enough about the trap. I hope you could follow that. I think it's a great example of how that could go and how to surpass these kinds of things. So, this is the whole deal. Maybe you say, yes, but my twin flame union is in such a state that, my twin flame is my best friend, but then he was so shocked about this divine love of mine for him, and then he ran off. And I'm just in this deep grief because of it. Or maybe you say, yeah, but my unique situation is that we met through internet dating, and I would never have thought that it would be so deep in such a funny internet dating kind of way that we met. And it's really true, but they live on the other side of the world, and we have no way to come together. And we need a lot of money, but there's also like a cultural difference and like a religious difference. And I just have no idea how to do this. Or maybe you say, yeah, I met someone last week, and they just shook my whole life. But we actually don't know each other at all. And what now? And I feel completely out of it because I'm just in this divine love, and I feel high, and I have all these phenomena that play out before my eyes, like spiritual moods and spiritual visions. And yeah, what the heck happened to me, Petra? And how to make something of this? Or maybe you say, I believe that we are living together now, and that's okay, but everything is stalling now, and I don't feel the love anymore. What to do? Or whatever your situation is. Maybe your situation is, I would like to be with my twin flame, but I just don't know if I'm already met him or her. And I just don't know. Like, did I already met him? Did I not? Um, and when I did not yet, how to meet them, how to call this in or something. And you feel confused about that. or whatever your situation is. There are also patterns underneath it. And I mean, the clearest pattern is that you have not yet stepped into the right consciousness. You see, that's like a clear pattern for all these situations. You haven't stepped into the right consciousness yet, because when you would have done that, sometimes the physical situation is still not fully resolved, the next second or the next 20 seconds or even the next 20 days, not yet. But you have the right consciousness state. And that means that everything now starts to shift and change and transform into a direction that is completely lining you out with that you will guarantee to be with them when you keep on following the inner nudges and the inner changes that are also outer changes, and that you keep on doing them and executing them with faith in your heart and trust in your actions. And that is an enormous difference. And then you will see it differently. You will see, like, oh, okay, so we live in different countries, other side of the world, but we are just going to start where we are. And we're going to have an online relationship for the meantime, and that's okay. And then we'll build further when we are at the next step. And you will see before your mind's eye what the first step is, and you will start to work on it. You will see that in another kind of scenario, that the reality was not that they ran away, but the reality was that you were afraid of the love that was given you yourself. And you start to turn yourself around. And you start to understand that however painful it is, you need to check and correct yourself in how you interpret things and how you react to love and in how fearful you are. And you start to actually work on that, and you start to inner see the first step to start to let go of that enormous fear that you are having. And that is why your twin flame ran away. But that was actually you that ran away from yourself and from the core of you, both of your union. Or you start to see the truth of another situation. You start to see the truth of it. That's what it means to be in harmonious union, because you've connected to and committed to this truth frequency. That is one of the things that it means. It means a lot more than that, even. It means a whole bunch of things. And this is what I can give you in our collaboration if you want to. If you step into our coaching relationship behind the YouTube screen, maybe with a strategy session at the start, indeed. And this is what I bring to you, this consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union that makes everything different. And you will know who the true twin flame is, and you can, in principle, be with them. Also, when you have it, once you have it. But for some in practice, the practical daily life, the material life can have a little bit of a lag sometimes. For some people, not necessarily you. For me, it has a certain lag. But not necessarily for you. You can even feel free to do it better than I did, if you will. Right? But it is guaranteed that consciousness state that makes the difference. And this is how you do it. This is how you do the journey, to take that into account and take that very seriously. Yeah. So that's all about your union, because your union is already true and whole and complete and intimate and loving. And you are together in that consciousness state that you in truth already have and are. But now the challenge, if you will, is to be and do and have that in the daily life, the physical world, the let's do something together next week and have a new date because I like you so much. I truly believe I love you because you fill my heart with this overflowing divine love kind of perspective on the thing. That kind of realm. That's where, the challenge is to bring it into your real life. Yeah. And that's where you'll meet yourself and your own shortcomings in a spiritual sense. That is to say, these aspects of yourself that haven't realized yet that they are actually divinely perfect. And you'll need to do inner work to bring these pieces inside of you to actually believe that. That's the work. And that's for everyone. And this just gives this whole interesting idea that even though the steps that are led from the inside out can be very practical indeed, and you should do practical, actual things that are actions and spending money and doing steps and going to places and communicate with them with actual words. That is certainly part of what you do. But I think the most surprising aspect is that the real work and a real difference and a real change happens on the inside. So that means that, in a sense, you can start off not necessarily needing to do much, not necessarily needing to go to very many places. You just live your life. You just take responsibility for your daily life. Normal. But you take time and space to, while you do the normal things, have a lot of attention to how you feel inside. That is the real change. And when you start to pay attention to how you actually feel inside, maybe by feeling it while you do your daily work, maybe by carving out 2 hours every day to feel yourself in your heart, do the inner work on paper and by speaking out loud, and just simply do it, give it to yourself, feel it, experience it, and then go to your work again and feel it while you work, etc., etc. That is the difference. The difference is, do you start to feel the inner work and that aspect of yourself that is that inner space where the real thing takes place, where you feel the enormously overflowing divine love of twin flames, or you feel the emotions of the block that you have towards it. And then you need to feel that one until it is resolved. So the real difference is, do you do the inner work? Do you feel your feelings? Do you feel the inner space? And you can, for the most part, resolve things while, let's say, staying at home on your own, doing the correct kind of inner work, no matter what your situation is. That is certainly in the beginning going to be the major part of things. You maybe just alone, sitting in your own home, if you have the time and space for that, or just doing your daily chores, your daily work, whatever you're doing, feeling different, doing inner work, paying attention to how you feel about whatever is genuinely going on. We're not going to feel just flying around here in the nothing. We're just going to feel into the sixth heaven with the angels of the scarabee. or something. I don't know. I'm just fantasizing something. No, you're going to feel your actual feelings about your twin flame, about the situation that is so unresolvable, that seems so unresolvable. That's what you're actually going to feel. You're going to do the actual inner work, only the correct inner work in a certain way. That is the inner work for twin flames. On it. You're going to do that on it, and you're going to feel how that feels. That is the difference. Even though you may be sitting here doing seemingly nothing, quote unquote, but you are doing the inner work. That is, in the beginning, going to be the big change. And we're not going to deny that sometimes there is a guided step that takes action, and you should do it, and you should certainly not do it. But yes, it is doing the inner work. And then things will shift in the inner world, in the outer world as a result of that, like you will be able to come together and take a plane and to the other side of the world and meet your true twin flame. You will later be able to meet them when they have first ran away. You meet them again, and they will ask you to marry them, and you say yes, and you do it, and you start to form this family together, and then you start to work in this mission business together that you always wanted to erect together and work on, and invite your abundance in with, and you start to do all of that. But that comes from the inner work, from the inner change, from the feeling change, from the heart change, from seemingly, quote unquote, doing nothing, while still not, we're not going to deny that there are things that need to be done also. Sure. But there's a whole world that is, yeah, called, we're going to heal this, because I'm going to feel this, because I'm going to do the inner work, because I'm going to accept that there is a whole world of transformation in my inner world. And I'm going to accept that. And I'm going to allow that to unfold in my heart, in my inner space, in my energy, in my sitting here and doing the inner work and seemingly, quote unquote, doing nothing. That's the real difference. And that is what I can guide you through in the first place. And then again, as part of it, there's also actions, there's also doing, etc. That's normal. Yeah. And that can be like such a difference. Like, what? So I don't need to like run or get my bike and bike and bicycle quickly after my twin flame when he ran away. No, you need to do some inner work. And then they will indeed come back. It's like, so I don't need to make endless amounts of money before I can fly to the other side of the world and be with my twin flame. Well, I'm not going to deny that you might need to take that into account, that you're going to make money to maybe make that possible and whatnot. But you're going to do inner work, and then the guidance how to do that will flow from that. It's always first inner work, always. So how do I know who my twin flame is? Did I already meet them? How to meet them if I never did before yet? Inner work, or however you want to call it, as long as you do the correct inner work. And I not only have the right tool for you to do it the correct way, but I also offer, myself, my state of consciousness of harmonious twin flame union, our relationship, so that you can be some sort of almost like infected, so to speak, by the right consciousness, by my presence. And that is clearly a very big part of what helps you and what is part of the coaching that I offer behind the YouTube screen. So I think we're going to step over to the next point in my show, and that is we're going to do a little bit of A Course in Miracles, ACIM, because that is a book, that is a method that is not only the underlying methodology of the Christ masters of every age and certainly also of this age, pointing to union consciousness, but it is as that also the foundational, like a description, a course of the right mentality of how to live as twin flames in union. It's really remarkable. And we're going to have a look at acamnow.app. That's the website. And before in the shows, we have done a lot of that. We did the lesson of the day. There are 365 lessons, one for each day of the year. But now I thought we're just going to do something else. We're going to click at this website on the oracle. So I'm going to click right now live at the button that randomly, or like created by the universe, of course, brings forward a segment of the book. And then we're going to read a little bit, at least a little bit. Sometimes not all of it, because some texts, some parts, some chapters can be very long. So we're not going to do that, the whole thing then, but we're going to see what comes out and read a little bit of it. And it will have everything to do with what we need to know now when we're discussing that topic. Maybe another time I will get the book. I see it here. It is next to me, but anyway, and just you can take the book, or maybe any book. Actually, this is a nice idea to do if you need some sort of an answer. Open the book with a guided atmosphere in your heart, like a divine inspired atmosphere in your heart, and see what comes out. We could also do that maybe next time or what have you. So let's press the button, the text oracle. Let's do text oracle. I have text oracle, video oracle. Let's do text oracle. Here we go. Please, Holy Spirit, decide for me. Chapter 14, Section 3, Teaching for Truth, the Decision for Guiltlessness. All right, so we already talked about truth, so that's beautiful. And truth, in other words, union consciousness, in other words, harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state that you need, means guiltlessness. You're not guilty, but you step into this field, this love, this space that is beyond guilt, where you are pristine, where you are the way you were created, because you are still the way you were created. And that is as you plus your twin flame in union together, in harmonious union, the frequency. And in truth, you're still there. You just forgot. You were just dreaming. You're still in that space. You're still in that space where you're pristine with your twin flame, naturally. And you're still into that place where you're guiltless. All right, so guiltlessness. Let's read it, because this is how the text goes. The happy learner cannot feel guilty about learning. This is so essential to learning that it should never be forgotten. The guiltless learner learns easily because his thoughts are free. Yet this entails the recognition that guilt is interference, not salvation, and serves no useful function at all. That was the first fragment. Guilt belongs to that space where it's not divine love. Guilt belongs to the space where it's not together with your twin flame. Guilt belongs to the space of the ego, of being confused about who you are, about thinking that you're not, in essence, already together with your twin flame in harmonious union. And that is not useful. Yeah, but this is interesting because this paragraph also seems to suggest that that is not yet evident to you. That's why you're on your way to your twin flame and you're not there yet. And it suggests that you can learn it. And it suggests that you can be a happy learner, be happy that you didn't know it yet. And now you're learning that the guiltless space of divine love, of harmonious twin flame union, actually does exist. And you are free to step into it. And you didn't know that yet, but you can just be happy about it. You can learn that. And that's like the right attitude. That's what I take from this paragraph as well. Let's read a little bit further. Perhaps you are accustomed to using guiltlessness merely to offset the pain of guilt, and do not look upon it as having value in itself. You believe that guilt and guiltlessness are both of value because representing an escape from what the other does not offer you. You do not want either alone, for without both, you do not see yourself as whole and therefore happy. Yet you are whole only in your guiltlessness, and only in your guiltlessness can you be happy. There is no conflict there. To wish for guilt in any way, in any form, will lose appreciation of the value of your guiltlessness and push it from your side. So that was another paragraph. That's interesting. So what I take from that is like guiltlessness is not, like, oh, maybe I'm not guilty, but I actually thought I was. So yeah, a little bit of both, they belong together somehow. It's just like one side, and then on the other side, you have guilt and you have guiltlessness. No, it's like, no, it's a completely different realm where you step into the guiltlessness realm. You step into the harmonious union realm. You actually completely forget about the whole idea of guilt, and it sort of never even existed for you there. You really step into a pristine um, place or vehicle that is your union. And it just, this whole dream of the ego, you just left that behind. And it's not like guilt or guiltlessness. It's like, wow, this never existed. And that is the guiltlessness that they're speaking about. So all about your union, well, when you step into the harmonious union consciousness state, that's what you'll experience. That's a description of how it is to step into the harmonious union consciousness state for twin flames, that holds the solution for you, no matter how difficult your situation currently seems to be on earth in the physical. And no matter how distraught you are about that, the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union is the solution for you. And it will feel to you as though you stepped into a whole new chapter of yourself, chapter of your story that actually doesn't know anything about the story that was before. It's very interesting to experience. And I'm not joking. It's not, that is really what you will experience. It's not a metaphor. It's very interesting. Let's read a little bit more. There is no compromise that you can make with guilt and escape the pain that only guiltlessness allays. Learning is living here, as creating is being in heaven. Whenever the pain of guilt seems to attract you, remember that if you yield to it, you are deciding against your happiness and will not learn how to be happy. Say, therefore, to yourself gently, but with a conviction born of the love of God and of His Son, What I experience, I will make manifest. If I am guiltless, I have nothing to fear. I choose to testify to my acceptance of the atonement, not to its rejection. I would accept my guiltlessness by making it manifest and sharing it. Let me bring peace to God's Son from his Father. And that was the end of the paragraph. I think we're going to leave it here. I think this is so interesting. And this is also where you see again that ACIM, of course, Miracles, the book where we're reading out of, speaks about God's Son and God as the Father, because it may sound very Christian to you, and they use the terminology of Christianity in a very new kind of way, because you need some sort of way to talk about the truth of the soul and of God and of twin flames and whatnot, because otherwise there's just no way to be able to talk about such things. And God's Son is actually in Course in Miracles the same as the space of your union, the harmonious union consciousness space, the guiltlessness environment. Yeah. That's where your union becomes real. And then it also will be rolled out in the physical for you. Beautiful. So let's step to the next ingredient of today's show, a segment of my own book. And we're reading from Twin Flames Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love, in which I have published my twin flame method and like all kinds of stories that make it more fully rounded. And it is also the book that is like the start of the curriculum of my twin flame school. And I just opened the book and saw what was there. And I assumed that the Holy Spirit also wanted us to talk about that one for today's show. And where I opened the book, it was called Educational Formats. Number 4, Process and Procedure, Desire Techniques. Wow. So there are 2 paragraphs that I will read, but what the heck does that mean? So interesting. But, I did not only find out how to make you go to harmonious twin flame union and be with your twin flame, I also created a methodology that you can use to order your experience of that shift, of how you go to that result for yourself. And that order has all kinds of things such as energy points, but also this idea that you can deduct from, for instance, the energy points and other parts of my methodology, that you can deduct in educational formats from it. So they're like underlying of the consciousness state of harmonious union and the central tool that brings you to it. There's like an educational underlayer that I just created just for you to step into a structured world where you can structurally bring yourself to it and keep yourself at it and inside the harmonious union consciousness state for twin flames that you absolutely need, also maintain it and whatnot in a structured way. That's why. So, and one of the educational formats is process and procedure, and they are desire techniques. Well, what is this? Let's read it. Maybe it just becomes clear. Programs coming from this energy alignment are incorporating the idea of understanding process in time and procedure the opening towards timelessness that is now. Desire is key here, as we need desire to go from process to a deepening of our being with a procedure. The desire can be towards anything that we vibrate with, and that fits our soul attunement. At the other end of the stick, it is always a burning desire, and with this power, we can work. Desire directs interactions and self acknowledgments. This point very much invites working with business, as business means relationship, and as sales is the vital energy flow in any business. And sales are closed in an acknowledging movement. This point invites the essence of business. Therefore, me economy, the soul economy of Twin Flames, the program to learn to find your individual topic is also called me economy. Brand and flow and build a business with that on all business aspects and levels is very fit for this attunement. Also, hand gold. Okay, so that is like an idea to sell creative products is at home here, as it is basically designed to be a shop for products. Well, there it is, that vibrate with this attunement. All right, so actually, the end were a few sentences in which I refer to a couple of names that refer to parts of programs that are now actually just all underneath the Twin Flame School, right? But the important thing was that there are two aspects here: process and procedure. So, process means that which happens in time. So, that means that you go from, I have an issue with my twin flame, we're not together yet. And then time passes. And in that time frame, you try to make it work, right? You try to resolve your situation, like when you can't come together because you live on the other side of the world. And then there's this time frame in which you make money, you find out if you want to live on their place or your place. You come together, you take a plane, you buy a house, you rent a house, whatever, and you start that life together. And that takes some time. That's like the process. But the procedure is how you go towards the timelessness of the now on any point of that timeline. And that is the actual key why your process is starting to make sense and work out. Because you go to that place where there is guiltlessness, you go to the place where there is the consciousness of harmonious twin flame union in every moment of now. And that's what really does it. That is what is the real deepening power of any true transformation. And you will feel that in any educational format that I have. For instance, I now call it the Twin Flame School. Well, it was called Twin Flame Abundance now, and we will in 2026 move to another title of the Twin Flame School. But it's all let's just say it's the Twin Flame School for now. It's my Twin Flame School, or Petra's Life Magic School, I also call it sometimes. It's just my main program, okay? This works with the process and the procedure because you have a process in your twin flame desire to come together in union and start that relationship, and that's what you'll experience in that timeline, in a timeline, in your what you want to build, the story, right? But the story only goes right to your true twin flame in harmonious twin flame union, so that it's sustainable and joyful and true through the procedure, by going to the now all the time where that consciousness state can be found, so that you tap into the right resource, so that you tap into the right thing, the right frequency, the right solution in a holistic way. And for instance, in my twin flame school, You also do that because, of course, time passes, but you check in every week with me in the group call on Zoom. And that's where we don't talk about, I just experienced this yesterday, and I hope we're to experience that tomorrow. That's not what we do. We go for the procedure. We go in the now, we go in the heart, we close our eyes, we do inner work. That's where it really takes place. And that then has an influence on how you experience your timeline story. And it changes it completely to success. Let's go to the oracle guidance of today. I have an oracle deck, my manifest union and mission card deck. And the cards just flipped out on my table that we need today. The Acknowledger News How C3.1. I'm going to read from the booklet from my screen in a second. But we see all these waves here. It's like waves of water. Transmute value to news value. And sometimes these things sound a little bit more like business and mission, what we also just saw in that other one. But mission is an integral part of what twin flames have in their union. It's also a secret pillar of making your union work when you start to pay attention to it. Did you know that? But in the booklet, I also translated, well, in the first place, to a union meaning. Sometimes it sounds a little bit like mission or business, but it has a union meaning. And we will read from the booklet, C3.1. Let's have a look. And the title of the text that belongs to this card is Transfiguration. Let's read the union meaning, and you can read the mission meaning of this card in the show notes that are on Patreon when you become a member there. The union of transfiguration, of the value in news value, is a sensitive moment. You are now in a susceptible position to experience your true value that surfaces from your soul, that becomes visible between you and your eternal true twin flame as your union. Being in a relationship on the basis of this would make it come to life in the direction of the transmutation of value to experienced love. See, it's about like there's something inside of you that it comes outside of you. So first inside transformation, inside inner work, and then it comes out into the real world. But beware, you cannot build a relationship mine on soul value. This will only come to light and life when you are sincere. Space has the sensitivity of the soul, and communication has the nuance of honesty and pureness. You can certainly set up a frame for relating and, what we will stress here, communication, such as marriage. But to exert true value, you will have to exercise surrender. Right. It's like, well, anyone can get married, anyone can walk to the government and fill in a form. That's not the point. The point is it sincere? Is it true? And are you surrendered to your actual harmonious twin flame union consciousness state? Right? That's the whole point. In practice, this can look skewed. Attention has been given and communication has been done, but the true subtle transmission of the thing meant does not take place within the current moment in itself fully. You did, however, create conditions for it to take place, though. In stating the structure up front, such as in marriage, you could communicate yourself in a certain way. Taste truly of the delicate border between what is helpful for this process and what is the level of sincerity that serves. It is a true art to make this interface between value and communicated value be organic and natural. When it is done correctly, it is intensely valuable for the receiver. You are the one operating on the interface of essential energetic value and the forms of communication in relating while actively sensing the nuances and portray them for your twin flame and others around your union. I choose now to explore the most complete depths of my being. I surrender my mind completely to God that He may bring it into perfect harmony with His. I invite God now into my very core that He may make it right, returning it perfectly to its state of eternal wholeness. I trust in the power of divine love. I choose to see the truth that is universally accepted by all. The core of every child of God, including me, we're all one with our twin flames and God. It is safe for me to open completely to love now. My love. Love is not elusive unless you command it so, but don't worry. You could not choose against love itself because you are love itself, manifest as you eternally. If you command it to leave, love does not leave because it cannot possibly leave, but you leave love by the power of your command. And by that same power, you can command yourself to return to love. And it is so revealing to you that love never left. It is safe to let go. It is safe to relax into love's eternal presence. Love is calling you home, and I'll be there waiting. I have always been here with you, and I always will be. Your next step. Don't forget to actually start the process and jump on the team. Actively come to our community, start doing the correct inner work, and ask the support you deserve through our services so that we can start a relationship that will lead you to harmonious union and beyond. When you're not in a relationship, you're not on the team and you can't expect the results I'm talking of. And in fact, guaranteeing. The show notes. You can, however, support this ongoing live Twin Flame News as such. Make it possible as co-creator. Without your participation and financial gifts, I cannot do anything because we need to have an energetic and verbal visual exchange for things to make sense and to know what I need to talk about for you. And also, we're on Earth, and that necessarily always works with money as a means to make sacred content actually physically flow. Therefore, I post the show notes in Patreon. Come over and enjoy. Have influence on the broadcasts and don't miss out on the behind the scenes experience on patreon.com/PEJ at Creative Universe. There are also bonus videos there, and I also every month give a deal that is very favorable for you. And February's Patreon subscriber deal is at this time, you can come to me for a series of 12 weekly key sessions in which we do your inner work for Twin Flame Union for 500 instead of 700 euro. There's info about it on creativeuniverse.earth/key session, and that is how that normally looks. But when you would like to have this deal, you need to be a paying Patreon member of the second tier and then also ask me personally the pay link. I'm Petra, in the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union since March 2020. Worked with the new Christ Masters on Earth right now to roll this consciousness state out so everyone can enjoy the abundant life with their true twin flame soon enough after going in with me right here. Don't search any further. You found what you were looking for. Om Amen.